Whoever fights monsters should see to it that he does not become a monster. Nietzsche said this, but few people understand what it really means. The problem isn't just fighting evil out there, it's what that fight does to you inside. Some people spend so much time defending themselves, swallowing wounds, and trying to survive difficult relationships that they reach a strange point. Nothing hurts anymore, but nothing touches them either. An internal silence so deep it's like someone hit the mute button on the soul. Maybe you've seen this in someone. Or maybe, and this is where it gets serious, you've felt it yourself. That moment when the world keeps happening, but you don't. You react, work, talk, smile, but all without emotional weight. It's not sadness, not anger, not fear. It's something else. It's emptiness. A silent emptiness that arrives without warning. Let's try to understand this together. Why do some people end up in this place? There's an emotional state that's hard to explain but easy to recognize. It's when you're surrounded by laughing people, and you even smile along, but inside you feel nothing. It's when someone hurts you and you just think, whatever. It's when something good happens and you can't truly feel joy, like something inside you has been switched off. And here's an important question. Does this happen overnight or is it a process? Let's explore this. The truth is, nobody wakes up one day and decides to stop feeling. This isn't a conscious choice. It's more like the body decides on its own. You know when you touch a hot pan and pull back fast without thinking? It's automatic. The body protects you. And something similar happens with emotions. When it hurts too much for too long, something inside us shuts down so we don't break completely. Have you noticed someone who was intense, who reacted to everything, who cared too much and suddenly went quiet? Not quiet from peace, quiet from giving up. People usually say he matured and she became more centered. But is that really it? Or did something turn off inside and nobody wanted to see it? Because there's a huge difference between controlling your emotions and no longer having emotions. And most people confuse the two. Schopenhauer spent his life trying to understand human suffering. He realized we live oscillating between suffering and feeling bored. But there's a third place. A place where you feel neither suffering nor boredom. You just exist. Wake up, do things, lie down to sleep. But you're not really living, you're just going through the days on autopilot. And then comes the question you may have already asked yourself. How does someone reach this point? What needs to happen in a person's life for them to shut everything off inside? Because there's a moment, a specific moment where this happens. And it's about this moment we need to talk now. There's something we learn early on but nobody questions. The less you're affected, the stronger you are. The less things get to you, the more mature you've become. This idea seems so true that nobody stops to think if it really is. Think with me. When you were a child and cried, what did they tell you? Stop crying. Swallow your tears. That's no reason to be like this. And over time, you learned that showing something hurt you was a sign of weakness. So you kept it in. You learned not to react. You trained that whatever face even when inside it wasn't whatever. One day you look at someone who isn't affected by anything and think, this person is strong. They don't let anything affect them. They're in control. But are they really, or did they just give up on feeling because feeling hurt too much? There's a huge difference between choosing not to react and simply no longer being able to react. One is control, the other is shutdown. And most people confuse the two. Imagine your emotions are like an alarm. When something important happens, the alarm goes off. It warns you, makes you pay attention. Now imagine this alarm went off so many times for so long that you got tired of hearing it. So you don't turn off the alarm, you rip out the wires, and then it never rings again, not even when it should. That's what happens when you stop feeling. It's not that you became stronger. It's that you got tired of reacting and the whole system went into protection mode. Shut everything down so you wouldn't break completely. Who taught you that feeling nothing was something good? Who told you that the person who doesn't cry, who doesn't get emotional, who isn't affected, is the person who's doing well? We live in a society that rewards coldness. Look how many times you've heard, don't take it personally. You're too sensitive. You need thicker skin. As if feeling things was a defect that needs correcting. As if the solution to pain was to stop feeling the pain. But when you do this, when you train your mind so much not to react, something strange happens. You don't stop feeling just the pain. You stop feeling everything. Joy doesn't come anymore either. Excitement disappears. The will to live goes dim, because the brain can't shut off just the bad. When it shuts down everything. And then you become that person everyone admires for being so centered, so balanced, so in control, but inside you're not at peace, you're empty, and nobody notices, because you learned so well to hide that even you forgot you're hiding. So maybe the question isn't, how do I stop feeling so much? Maybe the question is, why did I learn that feeling was dangerous? Because when you understand where this belief came from, you begin to understand why you ended up where you did. And there's something deeper here, something most people never notice. But before we get there, you need to understand the exact moment where everything changes. The instant where feeling becomes a threat. Because there's a turning point, and it's about this point we need to talk now. There's a specific moment where something changes. Have you ever tried to remember when you stopped caring about certain things? Not easy, right? Because it doesn't happen overnight. It's more subtle than that. It works something like this. You trust someone, and that person disappoints you. It hurts, but you forgive. You open up again, and they disappoint you again. You feel the pain but think it was just once, it can happen. Then it happens again and again and again, until at some point, when they disappoint you one more time, you don't feel anything anymore. You just think, of course, it was obvious. See what happened? It wasn't the first disappointment that shut you down. It was the repetition. It was your brain saying, look, I got the pattern. I don't need to suffer every time this happens anymore. It's like when you burn your hand on the stove. The first time it hurts a lot and you learn fast. But imagine if you burned your hand every day, several times a day for months. At some point, the skin would create such a thick layer of scar tissue that you wouldn't feel anything when you touched the stove. The body creates protection. The mind does the same thing. So the shutdown doesn't come from one giant trauma. It comes from 1,000 small cuts nobody saw. It comes from you asking for help and nobody being available. It comes from you showing what you feel and someone saying you're exaggerating. It comes from you trying to connect and being ignored, time after time after time. What few people realize is you don't consciously decide, I'm going to stop feeling now. Your brain decides for you. It does this to protect you. Because if you kept feeling everything with the same intensity, you wouldn't handle it, so it shuts down. Not because you're strong, but because this is the only way for you to survive. Think of situations you might recognize. Someone who always had to be strong for everyone, who was always the person solving other people's problems, who always held things together when everything was falling apart, and never had anyone to hold things together for them. Until one day when someone asks, how are you? The automatic answer is, I'm fine, even when inside they're crumbling. Because learning it doesn't help to talk changed something. Or that person who always got emotional with movies, with music, with other people's stories, went through something heavy, and when they finally managed to talk about it, someone minimized it, said other people had it worse, that they should be grateful for what they had. In that moment, something closed, because they learned their pain wasn't valid. It's these moments, small moments that accumulate, and every time you feel and aren't held, every time you open up and aren't seen, every time you need and have no one, a layer of protection forms, until you're so protected that nothing else enters. Not the bad, not the good. And the saddest part of all this? When you finally reach this point, people look at you and say, wow, you changed, you became so strong. But you didn't become strong. You just got tired of feeling alone. But there's something we haven't talked about yet. Something about what it's like to live in this state. Because one thing is understanding how you got there. Another thing is understanding what happens when you're inside it. Living like this is strange. And the word strange doesn't even describe it properly, but it's the closest we have. Because on the outside, everything seems normal. You wake up, have coffee, go to work, talk to people, even laugh when you have to laugh. But inside it's like you're watching everything from afar. Like you're an actor playing your own life. There are days when you're so tired you do everything on autopilot. Brush your teeth without thinking. Drive without paying attention to the road. Get home and don't even really remember what you did. Now imagine every day is like this. Not because you're tired, but because you're shut down. People talk to you and you respond. But you're not really listening. You're processing the words, understanding what you need to say back, but you're not feeling anything about what they're saying. You read the same sentence 3 times and realize you absorbed nothing. You were reading but weren't present. The most confusing thing is you still function. You're not broken in a way others can see. You pay bills, fulfill obligations, show up where you need to show up. That's why nobody notices. That's why nobody asks. Because you learned so well to imitate someone who's fine that even you don't know the difference anymore. There's something Schopenhauer said about life. He talked about how we spend all our time oscillating between wanting something and feeling bored when we get it. But he barely talked about this third place, the place where you don't want anything anymore. It's not that you gave up on your dreams. It's that you can no longer feel what it would be like to have a dream. This manifests in daily life in small ways. Someone invites you out, you go. But while you're there, part of you is thinking, when will this end so I can leave? Not because you don't like the people, but because being with them requires energy you no longer have. It requires pretending you're present. And pretending is exhausting. Or when something good happens, you get that job you wanted, or that person you like finally reaches out, and you know you should be happy. You know the old version of you would be jumping with joy. But now you just think cool and move on, like nothing really matters. Then comes the guilt, because you look at other people feeling things intensely and think, what's wrong with me? You see someone crying in a movie and think, why can't I cry anymore? You see someone excited about something small and think, was I ever like that? The truth is, you're not broken. You're in survival mode. Your brain did what it had to do to keep you standing, but now you're stuck in this mode. It's like you turned on autopilot during turbulence and now don't know how to turn it off anymore. And here's what few people understand. Living without feeling anything isn't peace. Peace is when you're well. This here is absence. It's emptiness. It's being alive but not feeling alive. It's breathing but air not getting through properly. It's existing but not being present in your own existence. Schopenhauer said life is suffering. But did he know there's something worse than suffering? There's not feeling even the suffering. Because at least when you suffer, you know you're alive, you feel something. But when you feel nothing, you're in this strange limbo where you're neither alive nor dead. You just are. And the question that remains is, can you get out of this? Can you feel again? Or once you shut down, do you stay shut down forever? Because there's a cost to all this, a price you pay without realizing. And it's about this price we need to talk now. What you lose when you stop feeling isn't what you imagine. Because when you shut down emotions to protect yourself from pain, you don't just shut down the pain. It's impossible to choose what to feel and what not to feel. When you close the door to suffering, you close the door to everything. Think of a house with many windows. You got tired of cold wind coming in, so you closed one window at a time. But when you close them all, cold wind doesn't come in anymore. But fresh air doesn't come in either. Light doesn't come in, nothing comes in. And then you're safe, but you're trapped. You're protected, but you're suffocating. The first thing you lose is the ability to truly feel joy. Not that convenient joy, the one you fake when you need to, but that spontaneous joy that comes from nowhere. That moment when you look at the sky and think, how beautiful. Or when you hear a song and something inside you awakens. That goes away, and you don't even notice it's gone until someone asks you, when was the last time you felt true joy? And you can't answer. Another thing that's lost is real connection with people. You still talk, still interact, still maintain relationships, but it's all superficial. Because to have real connection, you need to show yourself. And when you don't feel anything anymore, there's nothing to show. So you become an edited version of yourself, a version that works socially but isn't real. People feel this, they can't explain it, but they feel something's different about you, that there's an invisible wall, that no matter how close they are to you, they can't truly reach you. And this creates a strange loneliness, because you can be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. In fact, you feel more alone in the middle of a crowd than when you're actually alone. Jung said something interesting about this. He said when we don't face what's inside us, it becomes our destiny. And that's exactly what happens. You think you're protecting yourself by not feeling, but actually you're creating a prison where you're the only prisoner and the only jailer at the same time. Think of something you may have already lived. You're in a moment that should be special. Birthday, graduation, important achievement. People are happy around you. And you're there, smiling, participating, but inside you're empty. You look at all that and think, I should be feeling something. But you don't. And then you realize you're not living your own life. You're just passing through it. Another price few notice is the loss of intuition. You know that feeling that something isn't right? That sensation in your stomach that warns you when someone's lying or when you should leave a situation. That comes from emotions. When you shut down emotions, you also shut down this internal compass. You get lost, making decisions only with your head, without feeling if that's right or wrong for you. There's something even deeper in all this. When you stop feeling alive, because living isn't just breathing and having a heartbeat. Living is feeling. It's being moved. It's being touched by things. And when nothing touches you anymore, you become a spectator of your own existence. You watch the days pass as if watching a movie you're not interested in, but have to watch until the end. The paradox is this: you shut down emotions to protect yourself, but by doing so, you distanced yourself from life itself. You're safe, but you're not alive. You're not suffering, but you're also not feeling anything that makes being here worthwhile. And the question that remains is there a way back? Or is there something that can break through all this protection? Because if there's one thing most don't know, it's that there's a moment when even those who don't feel anything anymore feel. And when that happens, everything changes. There's a moment nobody expects, a moment when, after so long feeling nothing, something breaks through. And when this happens, it's not beautiful like in movies. It's scary, because you spent so much time protected that when something finally pierces that protection, you no longer know how to deal with feeling. It can be anything: a song you haven't heard in years, a smell that reminds you of something, a person who talks to you in a way nobody else does. It's nothing grand. Actually, it's always something small, something that catches you off guard, because you've already learned to block the big things. But the small ones can still get through. Suddenly you feel, for the first time in months, maybe years, you feel something real, not that controlled feeling you allow yourself to have. It's something that comes from within, without asking permission. And the first reaction isn't relief, it's panic. When you go so long without feeling, you forget that feeling hurts. You forget that feeling is intense. You forget that emotions don't come organized, one at a time. They come all together, mixed, messy. And when you feel after being numb for so long, it's like all the emotions you didn't feel were waiting to come out at once. When you spend a long time in a dark place and someone suddenly turns on the light isn't bad, but it hurts your eyes. You want to close your eyes again. You want to go back to the dark, because at least there you knew how to function. That's exactly what happens. You feel something and immediately want to shut down again. Because feeling after so long without feeling is like learning to walk again. You stumble. You don't know where to step. You're afraid of falling. So the temptation is huge to simply sit down and not try anymore. Some people, when this happens, do exactly that. Feel for the first time in a long time, get scared, and build an even bigger wall. Because now it's not just pain they want to avoid. It's the act of feeling itself. They realized feeling is dangerous because feeling takes away control. And control is the only thing they still have. But some people stay in that moment. Who don't run? Who let that feeling stay there, even though it's uncomfortable? And these people discover something important. They discover that feeling doesn't kill. Feeling hurts, yes. Feeling is confusing, yes. But feeling is also the only way to be alive again. Imagine someone who spent years protecting themselves, not opening up to anyone, not letting anyone in. And then a person appears who, without much effort, manages to make this person truly laugh. Not that social laugh. That laugh that comes from within, that you don't control, that catches you by surprise. In that moment, for a few seconds, the protection falls, and the person feels joy, feels connection, feels being with that person is different. And immediately after comes fear. Fear that this means something, fear that now they need that person, fear of being vulnerable again. That's what feeling means. It means giving up total control. It means accepting you can be touched, that you can be affected, that someone or something can have power over your internal state. And after so long protecting yourself from this, accepting it back is terrifying. Machiavelli would say whoever can't be hurt can't be controlled. And maybe that's why so many people choose not to feel, because feeling makes you vulnerable. Feeling means you can get hurt again. And when you've been hurt too much, the idea of getting hurt one more time seems unbearable. What few people understand is this: the protection that saved you at one moment can imprison you at another. And there comes a point where you need to choose. Stay protected but empty, or risk feeling again, even knowing it might hurt. And this choice, nobody can make for you. So we arrive here, at the end of this conversation. And maybe you're wondering, is there a way out? Can you feel again without destroying yourself in the process? And the answer isn't simple, but it's real. The truth is, stopping feeling served a purpose. At a certain moment in your life, it was the only way for you to continue. It's what kept you standing when everything was crumbling. So it's not about saying it was wrong. It wasn't. It was necessary. But necessary at one moment doesn't mean healthy forever. It's like a cast. When you break your arm, you need the cast. It immobilizes, protects, lets the bone recover. But if you never remove the cast, the arm will atrophy. It'll seem protected, but actually it's dying inside. And there comes a moment where you need to remove the cast, even knowing it will hurt, even knowing the arm will be weak. Learning to feel again is this. It's removing the cast. And at first you won't be able to feel in the right measure. You'll feel too much or too little. You'll be scared by your own reaction. You'll want to shut down again. And that's okay, because there's no way to do this perfectly. There's no manual, no step-by-step. There's just you trying again. The first step, if there is a first step, is to stop judging what you feel. Because one of the things that led you to shut down was precisely this, the idea that some feelings were allowed and others weren't, that crying was weakness, that feeling anger was wrong, that needing someone was shameful. So you kept cutting pieces of yourself until nothing remained. Feeling again is giving permission. Permission for sadness when it comes. Permission for anger when it appears. Permission for joy, even if it doesn't last long. Permission to be human again with everything that means, the beautiful things and the ugly things, all together mixed, messy. And here's something important. You don't need to feel everything at once. You don't need to open up to everyone. You don't need to go back to being that person who felt too much and got hurt all the time. Feeling again doesn't mean losing what you learned. It means using what you learned in a different way. Because you learned to protect yourself, and that's valuable. But now you can learn to protect yourself without locking yourself away. You can learn to feel without losing yourself in the feeling. You can learn to open up with the right people and close off with the wrong ones. It's not all or nothing. It never was. Schopenhauer spent his life talking about suffering, about how life is hard, about how we suffer all the time. But you know what he discovered in the end? That it wasn't suffering itself that destroyed people. It was loneliness in suffering. It was suffering alone without anyone to witness, without anyone to say, I see you. And maybe that's what you need now. Someone who sees, someone willing to stay when you finally let something out. It doesn't need to be many people. It can be one person, it can be a therapist, it can be someone who's been through this and understands. But it needs to be someone, because we weren't made to feel alone. We shut down when we feel too alone, and we turn back on when we feel accompanied. And maybe the greatest act of courage isn't feeling. It's choosing to feel even knowing it might hurt. It's waking up one day and deciding you don't want to live on autopilot anymore, that you don't want to be a spectator of your own life anymore, that you want to be present, even if present hurts more than absent. Because in the end, it's not about always being happy. It's not about never getting hurt again. It's about being alive, for real. Feeling the weight of life, but also feeling the lightness, feeling the pain, but also feeling the joy when it comes. Being here for real, not just in body, but in soul too. And if you made it here, if you heard all this and something inside you recognized it, then you've already taken the first step. Because recognizing is the beginning of everything. Recognizing you're shut down. Recognizing this protected you. Recognizing now you want more than protection. You want life. And life, for real, only exists when you feel. If you made it here, this journey doesn't end now. In the video on screen, you'll discover the next step of this rebuilding, how to transform what you understood into something real in your life. Click now and continue this conversation.